Knights of Malta, Thule Society, and all the rest of the crew. And the only ones that don't know it is the believers that they've been raping in the name of the Lord. But the Lord is really the Lords of London. They think it's the Lord in heaven of skies. Well, it's true. And they ain't crazy. Anyway, the Hikupta Coptic texts, Egypt. Hikupta is the proper name of Egypt, and all high priests know that. See that PTAH at the end of Hikupta? That's where you get Ptah. And the Pope of Rome claimed to be Ptah. Therefore, his authority is Peter. Ptah. That's where Peter comes from. That's used in the great circle of the church. All right? The Book of the Dead. The four Vedas, ancient sacred books, Sanskrita. The art of genuine astrology. The Ibri, Hebrew scripture. What they call Hebrew is really Ibri. And the Septuagint, and the Bible. The Kabbalah, the Holy Quran, the doctrines of Pythagoras, Rosicrucian order, the occult arts, the nine muses, etc., Alexandrian school, etc., Tetragrammaton, the ineffable word. And this is just a start of what they have. All imams, rabbis, high priests, and what they don't share with you, and also why is the source of their power. Are we clear? And they give the masses belief systems which usually are different pieces of this knowledge put in a ritual form without the knowledge or the science behind it. Are we clear? And that way they keep you under control. That's what's called beliefs and sects. S-E-C-T, and denominations, all right, which is schisms created by the priesthood to keep the flock under control. You know, just like you got different fences for the pigs and the cows and the sheeple. Yeah, sheeple. You go on. They're out to pasture, and so the pastor feeds off them. This is how it works. And it's never been a secret. And it's back to what we were saying before. They tell you so that, the karmic debt is lessened. You know what I mean? So they tell you what they're going to do to you, and then they do it. And they didn't say that. Yes, they did. Wizard of Oz, yes, they told you. Matrix, they told you. The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence, they told you. Wild Wild West with Will Smith, they told you. True Romance, Anthony Hopkins, they told you. Robin Hood, they told you. They tell you over and over again. They be playing with these people. Trading Places, Eddie Murphy, they told you. Stock market. But anyway, but the deal of this is for you as intelligent beings to stop thinking that your so-called black leaders don't know this stuff. And they got all these titles, all these degrees, all them awards from these different marching and praying organizations and support from the corporations. Tax exempts and stuff. Yeah, right. And we keep calling them crazy. No, they're not crazy. We are. We're buying into this crap. And not using basic common sense to recognize the difference. Now, Constitutional Convention, 1787. Notice it correlates with the treaty? Huh?
Yes.
So, Articles of Confederation were passed by the Continental Congress in the year 1777 AD and went into effect in the year 1781 AD. All right, so 1781 is when the Republic's charter was granted. You see? So who was the president 1781? Certainly wasn't George. He wasn't president to 1789, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's see who president was. Oh, of course it was.
What literature are you reading from, Brother Tyler?
So, here we go. So under Arthur St. Clair, right? That's when the treaty was formulated, right? All right, so. These were signers, and let's go find who the pleaders are. So the first president of the United States Republic are following: John Hanson, man of Moorish descent, was the first president for the United States, small u, North America, after the adoption of the Republican form of government under the jurisdiction of what was originally called the Congress of the Confederation. Who was number 2? Richard Henry Lee. Number 3, Elias Boudinot. 4, Thomas Mifflin. 5, John Hancock. 6, Nathaniel Gorham. 7, Arthur St. Clair. 8, Cyrus Griffin. Who was the 9th?
Abraham
George Washington.
There you go. So there's the 9th. 2 administrations prior to George Washington. So here we got the true historical records and facts prove that George Washington was actually the 9th president for the Republic and was the first executive officer of the presidential seat to govern under the present amended Constitution of 1789. It is furthermore stated for the public record that all honorable historians and scholars past and contemporary who have written or who shall write about North American history must observe and acknowledge the same. 2 administrations prior to George Washington's appointment to the presidential seat. He wasn't elected, he was appointed. That the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786-1787 was ordered to be constructed, affirmed, and sealed, and was directed to be transmitted. Hold on. Pardon me. Anyway, this is, because I'm going to skip some. Thomas Jefferson served as Secretary of State under the George Washington administration and also served as Vice President during the John Adams administration. In 1796, Jefferson was elected and became the 11th president for the United States of North America Republic in the year 1800. But these are just little snippets. But keep in mind, these men were the men who were ministers plenipotentiary under the protection of Sidi Muhammad when the treaty was being formulated. So the ministers plenipotentiary was entreated with plenary powers and granted such powers to represent the United States of North America in the treaty negotiation with the Moors were the following master masons: Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams, with Tom Barclay as agent in business. Take serious note also that these same men, as ministers plenipotentiary, in direct association with the ambassadors and representatives of the Moroccan Empire's authoritative powers and supports by way of Sultan Sidi Muhammad, were prefixed to become successive presidents for the United States Republic of North America. The treaty negotiations took place before any of these men were president for the United States. All of these are simply known facts, and all scholars know this. So, as you already know, when you're in these schools, that they've been telling the people that George Washington was the first president. They don't talk about John Hanson whatsoever. They don't talk about the Republican form of government. They talk about it as a U.S. democracy. And everyone needs to know that's the coup d'etat of 1861. And these people are actually in breach of trust, etc. And the real deal is that this is how you should be looking at things. So when you're talking, let me see if I can come down to, which you already know in the military manuals, the distinction between the democracy order and the republic. United States War Department, November 30th, 1928, and you know that's the year when Drew Ali adopted the religious order to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science to protect it from the infiltrators that had infiltrated the order. Military operations, United States War Department, November 30th, 1928. Training Manual 2000-25, 118, 128. Democracy. Democracy is a government of the masses. Authority is derived through mass meeting or any other form of direct expression. Results in mobocracy. Attitude toward property is communistic, negating property rights. Attitude towards law is that the will of the majority shall regulate whether it be based upon deliberation or governed by passion, prejudice, and impulse without restraint or regard to consequences. Results in demagogism, license, agitation, discontent, anarchy. Training Manual 2000-25, Section 120, 121, Republic. A republic's authority is derived through the election by the people of public officials best fitted to represent them. Attitude towards property is respect for laws and individual rights and a sensible economic procedure. Attitude towards law is the administration of justice in accord with fixed principles and established evidence with strict regard to consequences. A greater number of citizens and extent of territory may be brought within its compass. Avoids the dangerous extreme of either tyranny or mobocracy, results in statesmanship, liberty, reason, justice, contentment, and progress. So as you can see, all politicians, all scholars know that democracy is really anarchy in government. And they've been promoting it, and the people, out of their irresponsibility and ignorance and traitorous concepts to themselves and their own families, have been promoting the democracy on their own selves and then complaining about the results. When they know Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution commands a Republican form of government for all states in the Union. Even a child knows that. And so, as far as the Europeans are concerned, these people are sanctioning their own slavery. And this is why they always say they consent. See, because not to contest when you're the heir to the estate, that's consent, isn't it? Yeah. And this is why all foreclosures are referred to as abandonments. If you look at public records, 90% of all your foreclosures are called abandonments. And people sit around talking about, I didn't make payment. They ain't got a daggone thing to do with payments. It's an estate. And the sooner you get that through your head, the sooner you start being liberated. Now, this is back to this, the oath of all the clergy. You know, this is congressional records. Diplomatic Code 1778, 1884. Keep in mind, 1884, what took place in Berlin, 1884, 1885, y'all? What took place? Speak loud.
It was a private meeting it was a private meeting
We're at in Berlin, Germany, about what?
about how they were going to divide the Americas.
How they were buying the Moorish Empire under the guise of the Ottoman Empire amongst the Constantinian nations, hiding behind the name Christian. So the Constantinian nations divide up the Moorish Empire amongst themselves under the guise of Christianity. Berlin Conference, 1884, 1885.
And then the prophet was
Huh?
born right after that. I said that the prophet was born like right after
1886.
that.
Yep.
That's okay. I'm seeing it.
Yep.
Okay.
So here's the clergy's oath. This is for your, we read this before, but for those who are not familiar, because we have a lot of new people here, and it also goes for the people who are listening. This is congressional records. This is the oath of all the clergy. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in a state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes. Does it sound like they owe to Jesus? And notice that they're using religion, what? For mind control. To keep the people passive. The high contracting parties, so they're in contract, aren't they? So they got a secret compact amongst themselves. Yeah, the high contracting parties, that's your highest degrees of secret orders, declare it to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt, with the aim of ameliorating their own interests. See why they don't have no conscience asking for a $60 million plane? Because they're serving their own interests, but they hide behind Jesus. They're really serving the Pope. So, ameliorating their own interests intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes, and the contracting powers join in offering their thanks to the Pope. Does P-O-P-E spell J-E-S-U-S?
No.
I'll repeat, because if I'm reading this wrong, y'all can grab the mic and correct me. I didn't hear nobody. Does P-O-P-E spell Jesusness?
No, it does not.
I think not. Anyway, so their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicit his constant cooperating in their views of submitting the nations. So they be telling people that they're submitting the people to Jesusness and to the Lord of heaven. It's the Lords of London. Under the secret treaty of Verona, which is the mid-party between them and the Pope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Hillary and Trump and all of them are Jesuits. At what point, y'all don't get it. Now, are they crazy?
They're not.
I don't think so.
They're not.
I think the lunch boxes are out here that have been lunched for so many generations. They keep believing in the system that has been killing off their foreparents and are destroying their families, destroying their youth, and doing organ collections in Chicago as we speak.
Right now,
They're doing an organ harvest. And these people sitting around talking about let us pray.
What about Obama?
When they're praying on them, it's P-R-E-Y. And they're not crazy. Anyway,
Is Obama Jesuit?
yes, he was Jesuit court, yes. He was selected for that position before he was even in the president, in the seat. Yeah. And, of course, he did what he could without getting killed, telling these people what's up. But you already know, as lunchy as we are, somebody can tell us to our face and we still don't get it.
Sure.
Now, addressing the breach of trust. So the breach of trust is when you're dealing with what? What are we talking about when we talk about breach of trust? And this should be the nature of all your instruments and your communications with people in your local operations pretending to be government, and who has been taxing you and claiming right of your estate when they're actually private, and they've been pretending to be government. Faced with the indisputable foresaid evidence of misprision, the supporting research and a plethora of publicly documented facts are herein presented, but not limited to them. And the reasonable natural person must deduce that any conscionable natural living man, woman, or child who possesses the capacity to read, to reason, and to use basic divine critical thinking has undeniable and established legal grounds upon which to declare the public officials with criminality. The quote-unquote public servants, the trustees, foffers, and the administrators of the trust, etc., have demonstrated via their operations as misprision actors. They have been and are, by virtue of their own perfidious actions and malfeasance and negligence, declared in dishonor and disqualified to hold any public office of trust. The dishonorable subverting and extorting operatives doing business as the United States Congress and maintaining a de facto status are noticed. All or any associated parties, past, present, or future, this is what you would call successor contracts in corporate operations as you saw in the paper. That's what that makes reference. So that means the corporation is descended down just like any family inheritance. This is why when people even think that their vote counts, that they're out to lunch, that keeps them busy while they get raped. And the marching leader guy's job is to pacify them, and they get a kickback in the background, one of which is the 501c3, and usually political jobs. Are we clear?
Yeah.
So the dishonorable, subverting and extorting operatives doing business as the United States Congress, which are really trustees of that corporation that I gave you the document for, and maintaining a de facto status. This is why all of the so-called legislation that comes through them always benefits the corporation in Wall Street, because they're really trustees. They're board of directors for that corporation, not for the people. The dumb people, by thinking it's a country, keep saying it's a country, and keep calling them congressmen and judges, and at that point in trust law, you've assigned them. So they take your offer and exercise it. In other words, you keep authorizing them what you call oral trust statements. This is the danger of ignorance.
We're the judge.
We're out to lunch. We're the republic overthrown. And keep talking democracy language, which means we keep sanctioning them. Then we want to march and complain. Keep giving him your bike. He riding my bike. I never get it right. Who gave it to him? I did. Why you giving him your bike?
I was supposed to.
And this is what you complaining for. And basically, this is what they're saying. He called y'all. Who called him white man? Don't all people keep calling him white man? Well, white means sovereign. Sovereign means ruler of the land. Why are they complaining? They keep assigning him to a position, he takes it, and then they want him to march. Duh. You don't go to McDonald's and talk to Wendy's. You don't talk to I'm coming to see Wendy. We supposed to be going out to dinner. Where y'all going to dinner at? At Burger King. Why are you at McDonald's? She work here. People, we out to lunch. They ain't crazy, we are. But we're too arrogant to admit it. Because we're spiritual. Yeah, right. Please, don't hold your breath. Because spirit is breath. Anyway, because it is. Damn. So there is no doubt as to the obvious, verifiable, and injurious facts, a manifest of their activities and frauds, and that the owners and creditors of the United States Republic government, as lawfully established by the organic American Constitution, has been overthrown by them from within. An undeniable coup. As it now stands, the said entrenched colluders, impostors, and impersonators are presiding over the public trust while maintaining a definitive state of dishonor. And therefore, it is paramount that any one operating as a public officer or anyone alleging to be a part of any government department, public office, or public trust must be held accountable, measured by the supreme law of the land, established via the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the American Constitution. Is that complex? No. It is not. So what occurs if the people do not enforce the Constitution? They got anarchy. There's a U.S. democracy. So what did Raleigh declare to the people? To help him in his great missionary work, to bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government, enforcing our Constitution for the United States of America. Did they listen to him?
No.
So now it looks like we're in trouble, don't it?
Yes.
And now they've converted all of our states into mortgages and deeds, and everybody's mortgaged to the hilt, and they get ready to lose every damn thing they own. that they thought they owned, that was hypothecated when they made the transaction.
From the ab initio.
Ab initio. Fraud ab initio. What occurs if they don't speak up? It's called abandonment, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I just want to make sure that I'm not wrong with that. So y'all correct, pull my coattail, even though I ain't got a jacket on right now. So the true American identity, being Aboriginal pedigree, must be proven in national card of identification, and all officers of government must possess a verifiable delegation of authority order, which must be displayed for the public record. And the same must be supported by oath and bond. All diversity distinctions shall be made for the public record and for the securing of the rights of the Aboriginal natural people and the citizens by heirship right of claim and by corrective necessity. True and verifiable distinctions must be made between the true Almaracan American inhabitants of the land. It must meet its original and true definition, revealing the rightful heirs, natural citizens of the land. The nationality identities also must be proven of those diversity immigrants, members of the occupational colonial European nations, and their descendants, settlers. See Article 3, Section 2 of the American Constitution. That is the article dealing with what? It's called diversity. Y'all write it down. And this is why it has much to do with the motive of as to why President Eisenhower 54 diversity, why he closed down consular courts in 54. Why? Because whenever you're dealing with those operatives, any issues dealing with the descendants or the true nationals is supposed to be in a court of diversity, consular, called consular court. So they closed that down in 1954. And these are other fundamentals that you need to know about your so-called black leaders. In 1955, and then they started having these Negro leader guys march all around promoting the 14th Amendment, making people think it meant citizenship when it really meant New York Water Street stock. It's the truth. Because these people think all these black leader guys know Jesusness, because most of them was reverends. Promoting civil rights when they know it's a fraud, 14th Amendment. Which is the courts converting their private debt on your backs. And all we did was catch more hell than we was catching before. And this is what they're doing now to everybody's estate. So anybody that got any property, they've been attacking you one way or another, whether directly from the IRS or indirectly or from the municipal courts, etc. The municipal tribunals of the city's corporate state operatives taxing people and trying to take their property. And keep in mind that they're not government, but they've been pretending to be government. Are we clear? This is another reason why you put your stuff in trust. All right? So every man, woman, and child must worship under his own vine and fig tree. Considerations are taken into account for those foreign settlers who were sanctioned in treaty and in constitutional covenant to do business at North America, Almarac. By virtue of the binding and conditional limitations set forth in those written contractual instruments, consider the forum for such honorable persons in accord with the established law to do commercial trade in the Western Hemisphere, and granted the opportunities to enjoy the benefits of an official naturalization process if all necessary naturalization tests and allegiances are affirmatively taken and confirmed according to the general standards of international law. In relationship to their Congress, obviously undisclosed and conflicting alliances to hostile foreign powers, etc., we declare that the members of the United States Congress, past and present, their franchise corporate states of representatives, and their prime associate superior, Elizabeth II, see Secret Treaty of Verona, are for the public record charged with breach of trust, usufructuary abuse, imperfect usufruct, and the U.S. Postmaster General, U.S. Postmaster General, these different spellings, so you recognize the different spellings, etc. The U.S. Postmaster General, U.S., large uppercase, small case, Postmaster General, uppercase, U.S. Postmaster, colon, U.S. Postmaster, colon, United States Postmaster, U.S. Postmaster, U.S. Postmaster, United States Postmaster, Postmaster of the United States, Postmaster of the United States, uppercase, Postmaster of the United States of America, Postmaster of the United States of America, Postmaster for the United States, Postmaster for the United States, Postmaster for the United States of America, uppercase, Postmaster for the United States of America, lowercase, Postmaster for the United States of America, small case u, and the associated actors are in breach of trust. Breach of trust and in commercial default and administrative default. All material interests, including controlling interest in the United States Trust of 1789, as presumed on the part of these actors, persons and entities, are rebuked, abridged, fouled, forsaken, abandoned, revoked, and denied. And all such material and controlling interest in the United States Trust 1789 and its assets reverts and revests in the true heirs, natural people of the land, being the living Al-Moroccan, American inhabitants thereof, and all actual and controlling interest in the real and intellectual properties, resources, and assets naturally belonging to the true aboriginal inhabitants of the land revests in them, and all rights vested in treaty with the agreed members of the Republic 50, now alleged 50, United States of America, and the peaceful inhabitants thereof, is theirs by right of claim, due and owed without debt, without lien, without delay, deception, or hypothecation, absent of spurious title, guised, or held under a color of law, and all actions and transfers done and made absent of any other disingenuous encumbrances, together with all hereditaments, interest, and profit due from the lease, occupation, and use of these lands, America, Al-Morocco, estate, state, and individual assets for the past centuries. Do we understand?
Clear.
We understand. So your concepts on how you to deal with the belligerent trustees, are we clear? So they are belligerent trustees pretending to be government. They're actually waging war on the people in the name of government, using the sovereign power of government and pretending it's the Russians or the Chinese and others, when it's actually they themselves. And this is all the false flags that they're creating all around the world to justify war. And this is why, contrary to whatever Trump says, they started bombing Syria yesterday.
Yep.
Are we clear?
Yeah.
You're going to say something? Get it, brother Mike.
No, I'm good, I'm good. No, I'm good.
I thought you was getting rid of rap.
No, I just, the 1481, the title of this section
Yeah.
that you just read.
No, that's the book.
I know that, but the title of the section that you just read.
Yes. This is on page 64. Now the title, the subtitle of the section is addressing the breach of trust. Now, go ahead. Get in the mic.
I will say something according to you so far, just reading the second page of
United States Company.
certificate of incorporation of United States Corporation Company. On its second page, right, it actually, it says to acquire by purchase. Now this is dealing with part 2. Let me just read by the way. It's saying the nature of the business, okay? So, let's just say this is the maybe 8th clause, so to speak. I could be paraphrasing, but 7th or 8th clause. To acquire by purchase or otherwise and to hold for investment or otherwise, to use, sell, lease, or dispose of real estate and real property and any interest, estate, or rights therein.
Now you see where conversion is when I present it to you. All right. So when we opened up, right, and conversion is an act. And now notice this. This is what we presented when we first started.
Yep.
Belligerent trustees, spofers, and their unlawful acts of conversion. Belligerent and belligerence describes one who is inclined to be hostile and to fight, displaying an aggressive attitude toward another, especially one engaged in war. Conversion is an act or action which changes something from one use or purpose and converting it to another use or purpose. In law and jurisprudence, conversion means the unlawful and a deceitful appropriation of another's property or rights, etc. The unlawful changing of real property to personal property or vice versa. Conversion also means the exchange of one type of currency for another. Now, that's exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So they're telling you, it's not like they ain't told you that, but they know that the so-called black leaders are paid to stay away from this information, and they're paid to convince these people that the United States is a country when they always knew it's a private corporation. That's why the 14th Amendment is promoted strongly in the so-called black community. Why do you think the so-called black leaders attack conscious Moors? Because they're overseers, that's why. And after a while, you start educating the people, it'll become obvious that they are. And they've been getting away with speaking on Allah and Jesusness and all, and getting away with it. And people think that because they have oratory skills, that they really love their people.
Right.
And let that fiat.
Yes, they're paid off to keep this black thing going, injuring their own people.
Right.
That's what Malcolm found out. They murdered him because they knew he was going to tell. Well, that's, it's more behind Malcolm's murder than people really understand on the surface.
He nationalized.
They always talk about him like they love him so much. I don't think that's really so much the truth. They don't really know him. They know the image that's promoted. But those on the inside know that they couldn't buy him off. And so they took his life. And this information has everything to do with it, including the popcorn and soda. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
As long as give him the mic.
I have a question. It was stated that Malcolm X nationalized.
He's an eel.
Okay. After that, it was stated that he was murdered.
He was murdered because he found out what you call adeptus degrees.
Right.
Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave some of the adeptus degrees, or gave some inference on the adeptus degrees. Anybody who knows anything about the Nation of Islam knows anything about actual facts. One of the questions that is given, and one of the questions that is given is, what is a Mason? And the answer is, a Mason is a Muslim son. And when you do the research, it takes you back to the Renaissance, and you find out that these people are Moors, and that the Europeans actually what? Renaissance men, they ruling you with your own stuff. And they took on the title of white man, they took over your position and got you calling yourself black. And they're a black man. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would always refer to the Moors as so-called black people. So-called Negro. He would qualify. And he said, and after they would have completed their studies, he said, the supreme wisdom will be handed you later, which means they didn't have all the degrees. Now, problem, Malcolm got the degrees, but he got it from some Europeans, French Muslims, and others, after he made the Hajj. And of course, some other things that he found out, but he didn't come to the circle, even though he was what you would call a front man, or what you call a made man within the nation of Islam. You understand? When he made those statements about Kennedy, you know, chickens come home to roost, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set him down. But in the process, he learned other things. And then plus, Wallace, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son, exposed some things to him. So not only did John leave, Wallace left, and Malcolm left, and Clarence left. Clarence is the one who set up the Gods on Earth. Yeah, all of them, yeah. And then like when you go into the microfilm, and you look at the conventions with Drew Ali, you'll see Elijah Muhammad carrying the Moorish flag. He was an addict. You know, Marcus Garvey's in there, the Pierce, a lot of politicians. You know, it's no secret. You know, and then what you have is one of the other secrets, one of the not too beautiful secrets, is that some of the people in the order was actually being supported by the Hunt family, the Europeans, Hunt family. So a lot of these things, Malik found out. Yeah, well, anybody that does real research that doesn't operate on emotion kind of finds out, you know, that things ain't as beautiful as you thought they were.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, so Malik wouldn't be bought. If he took the finance like others did, he'd still be living. And backed off. And started doing the black thing again. You know, Betty told him to take the finance, you know, but she was scared. You know, and they shot up the house, burned the house more than once. So what they tell you is not all of it. You know what I mean? But he would not take the buyout. I think it was somewhere around $6 million or something like they offered him. He wouldn't take the payoff. So all these moral good guys with the CIA in partnership set them up, including the gangs of New York called the police department. They all work together. That's why they removed all security inside and out. But Malik looked straight in their eyes, and he didn't flinch, did he? And what was their password? Their Skull and Bones password? There you go. So they tell you, don't they? And what do people do? Keep on defending these black leader guys. You know, and call the European racist. Racist, the human species. The human species is expanded into larger families all over the planet called nations, nationalities. Anybody that's outside that venue have no right of claim to the laws that protect humans. What protects humans is constitutions and treaties. If you're outside of that venue, don't be talking about rights protected under government because you don't have them. This is the reason why they created the 14th Amendment person, the corpse. Get these people to agree to be monkeys. See, we're Negroes. Oh, you are? Okay. Don't have nothing to do with the humans.
Right.
What's your name, Smith? Oh, cool. Property. Dred Scott, most important slave case ever.
Yes.
You know, plaintiff in error. Was the argument beautiful? Yes.
Beautiful.
He claimed to be Dred Scott. Plaintiff in error. You can't be a free man, transact business in another man's name. I don't care how many generations it passes. These people don't care on that, but they're going to tell you about Muhammad and Jesus. They're full of crap. Now, while we have compassion for our miseducation, understand these things are so primal in civilization that the world doesn't forgive you. Because every man, woman, and child must confess their own and worship under their own vine and fig tree. What makes them think they're different? Because they think they're special. Or Jesus made us, then make nobody. Well, keep it up. They're going to eliminate them. They're going to eliminate them. Really. They just don't get it. But they put it this way, the boot is big, but it's swelling. They got to pump it up some more. One cheek is already off. Islam.
I think the mother had she wanted
Go
a
ahead.
question to comment.
Go ahead, sis.
If real estate investing is converted as an unlawful act, how can we make that right
This is why you declare your nationality. For one, you must be in proper person because you're commanding breach. This is why I read the breach of trust. You start doing instruments in that nature. For instance, like if you're talking to, understanding that they're belligerent trustees. All right, since 1861, none of them have been legitimate government, or none of them have been operating in a de jure platform. They've all been operating in a de facto platform. So one of the things you want to tell them bluntly is to remove the name that sounds like yours in all capital letters of hypothecating your estates, your rights, your liberties, and your hereditaries, which is what they're doing to back their debt. This is why you must know this real history. So in the nature of what I just said, it clearly gives you your protocol.
But you gotta ask, and in proper.
You gotta speak up. Don't speak up, you abandon. And this is what they're operating on. So, and this is again why they will, through their corporations, will fund black organizations with tax breaks to keep that black thing going, which disinherits the people, and the people who are ignorant think that they're really helping them, when they're actually helping to disinherit you. Which is where your problem is. See, you need to understand your problem is not somebody not liking you. Your problem is that your estate has been hypothecated. And it is administered by people who are pretending to be government from the local on up to the federal. And you have not spoken up. As a matter of fact, you keep on voting for them and saying our democracy and stuff like that, which is a sanction. And in trust law, if you call a magistrate who's really an administrator of a private trust judge, you just assign them, they accept it as you being an heir to the trust, and then start exercising power over your estate. That's why you don't call them officers. And it's also why you don't use a title in front of their names. You call them by their name, doing business as such and such corporate entity. That's how you address them.
It seemed like a big game of semantics, though.
It is semantic. It's semantic deceit.
That's what the English language is.
But for people who claim to be so spiritual, that ain't complex, is it?
Nope.
No.
So if they know gods and Jesuses and stuff, and what the Bible really means,
Right.
and what the Quran really means esoterically of analysis, if they know all these sandwiches, they make their own peanut butter sandwiches. Come on. This is what the world is really saying to us. But we got 59 different black organizations dealing with rights, and ain't none of them been rescued. Not one.
They can't deal with rights.
And they keep telling these babies that they're saved, and all they see is death, jail, and drugs, and broken families. Now that's the truth. And then they'll deny it.
See, because we're saved, because I just talked to Jesus this morning. I got his personal phone number.
And then go collect them finance. They're full of doo-doo. They can keep playing this game, but the world ain't got time for it. And the world is moving on, and the doo-doo's getting ready to collapse. They think they got polka dot wallpaper. No, the doo-doo has went through the fan. It hit the fan last year. And it ain't polka dot on the wallpaper either.
Brother Taj, I got it.
Go ahead.
Like, and you was my witness, Mikael. Like,
Microphone.
I read this. I'm just looking at this.
Corporation paper. I remember reading this in the end of 2014, but it reads differently now.
Of course.
It reads a whole lot differently.
No, once you understand the history and your naivety leads, see, this is the deal. Naivety is the elixir or opiate for the masses, given to them by dogma, which is counterfeit religion. Do you understand? They think they're worshiping Allah and giving honor to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and to the prophets that come after, or the prophets who come before, Yahushua, who they renamed as Jesus. When it's the Romans who murdered them all, and they're worshiping the Romans now, and they wonder why they're catching hell. What, thinking it's a place to go? They're going to next Tuesday? No, I think they're living it. It's called the Expiator's Chamber. They've never read a law book, did they?
See, this makes sense. Why
Go give the mic. Yes, it do. Go ahead, give me a rap.
This makes sense why we need to uplift fallen humanity.
Well, that's what the mission is all about, isn't it?
Because the Roman is the aggregate of our lower self.
Well, it's a reflection of the lower self.
Right.
Shadow of your lower self.
So we got to fix our own issue internally for it to actually
And
be
then
as
the
an
shadows disappear. Now you understand high noon,
Yes.
Religious controversy?
Yeah, this is much clearer tonight. Much clearer.
Now you understand why he's a prophet?
Oh yeah, the prophet Noble Ali is definitely the prophet.
Oh yeah, all right. He told you this 100 years ago. And you're now studying it. You understand?
Islam.
And he also told you what? The half has not been told. If I told you everything, you'd go back to sleep. And so now the people didn't believe him, so now the Pope is telling them, giving you your history. And Obama, what did he do? He went to Hikupta and told you that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law. Michelle went to the Alhambra, which fell, and that's after they made what? The Romanus Pontifex made the Global Estate Trust and been administrating the Moorish Empire under Skull and Bones and Illuminati, and you've been trying to run away from home thinking you're going someplace else, Dorothy. You just bumped your head. Jubala, Jubalo, Jubalone. Man of straw, tin man, and the Lion of Judah. And y'all still don't see yourselves.
So we need
And it's not, it's not,
Yellow brick road.
well, there's the Commerce. Yellow brick road is the Zodiac Constitution. Isn't City Hall where they took the birthright, isn't it designed exactly like a mosque and people walk past it every day and don't even notice it? That is designed exactly like a mosque with a parapet on the north gate. And your Zodiac Constitution right in the middle of the courtyard. And people walk on the law and don't even recognize it. And where does the Mummers Parade end? At City Hall, the battleground. Cornwallis on a horse right in the front, with Billy Penn standing 23.5 degrees facing the Grand Lodge, Masonic Lodge, 1 North Broad Street, and the Mummers Parade ends there in judgment.
23.
And the Mummers, yes, and the Mummers assemble at 6 and Moore Street. They don't even hide it. They know these people can't damn read. Then they show you your Great Seal and National Treasury. They did 2 of them with Nicolas Cage, right in Philadelphia. He went to Pennsylvania House, which is now called Independence Hall, and he pulls out with four fingers like this, a brick, which means masonry.
Right.
And then he pulls the shades out with the ether, with the flipping hand. Yeah. And the woman sees your Great Seal in a watermark, trying to complete her coin collection. He can tell you about the secret chambers beneath the city.
That's right.
Chambers of Egypt.
That's right.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, 'cause I want you to expand on that because you
Get in the mic, because this is good.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Go ahead, give me that rap.
You just made something go off in my head.
Yeah,
You said William Penn was standing at 23.5 degrees.
23.5 degrees,
So
north by northeast,
So in my
where
head,
Muslims face to pray.
that's cosmological too, because the
Of course
Earth
it is.
tilts on its axis 23.5 degrees.
Didn't they claim to be God of this earth? Thessalonians 1 and 2. Then Yahshua said, I told you these things when I was with you, that they would put themselves on the throne of God, claiming to be God. Government, ordinance departments.
Right.
Well, you were told. Where did they steal the birthright? Right there in Philadelphia. Where's the Mummers Parade? Horace Greeley, Whittemore Party, Kansas-Nebraska Act, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Where do they have Queen Winona, who they murdered and threw her off of the rock on Kelly Drive, they call Lover's Leap, right there at the base of the Art Museum. Oak Eakins Oval, Ovary.
Right.
Then you see the birth of the nation, you see the nation's flags and the fountain, the water burst, and you see the European with a dagger under the flag. They don't hide it. They tell you your history. These people just don't know what they're looking at because the black leaders won't tell them. They're trying to sell them a version of religion.
Why would somebody would somebody
Get the mic.
so tricked, playing all the tricks on us, that's hypothecating, that's stealing from us, that's doing all of these things? Why would they even respect the law when we come back at them and say, I'm an aboriginal here. I'm a Moor. You can't do this. The Constitution says this. There's a treaty that you must uphold.
So, now look what's on the board.
Belligerent.
Now what's on the board? And what did we put, what is the subject for tonight? And what have we been saying?
They're belligerent.
We understand that they're belligerent.
No, what you say, what you're saying that you don't understand.
No, I understand that they're belligerent.
No, this is what you,
My
but
point
this
is,
is what,
why should we expect them to follow to play fair?
so why do we not expect us to honor our mothers and fathers, which would solve the problem? They keep looking outside for someone else to solve a problem that's internal. The leech feeds because Lazarus won't get his ass up.
Couldn't be more.
So Jesus say, Lazarus, what's up? And you're gonna start a get up program. Get your ass up, Lazarus. From the rich man's feet.
Oh,
It's
man.
not they ain't been told. They keep on making excuses. Somebody knocked me down. Well, why don't you get up? Because they ain't make a get up program yet.
I just hate the idea that.
No, ain't that what they always saying? How come somebody didn't start a get up program?
Ultimately, we still have to trust the quote unquote law.
Well, what's the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
Get in that mic. You've been in there.
I mean,
No, get in that mic. Don't be doing it. Don't like them singers that got a horse already.
my point is, why should we expect them to follow the law of the land?
Why do we not expect us to follow the law of the land? Why do you keep saying them?
You
Not
know
that
what,
they are
let
or
me talk
not.
about me.
Now,
Now
what
I'm
is the
coming at
duty of the true people of the republic who forgot they're the people of the republic? They can tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, and Muhammad. They can certainly tell you about contemporary history. Can they? Do you understand where the rule comes from in Septuaginta? Or in the Quran when it states that Allah will reject those who reject knowledge?
Islam.
In the Bible it says, my people are destroyed by the day for lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge.
But what is it that they have accepted from the priesthood?
Belief system.
Exactly. The prophets say a lack of knowledge.
Right.
Quran says knowledge. Bible says knowledge. The people keep talking about belief because Reverend said so. So who do they believe? They believe the priesthood. Who delivered Jesus to Rome? The priesthood. Who got blamed? The devil. They ain't do nothing. That's why in the judgment, when they start talking stuff, well, see, because I really took my lunch and stuff, see, but the devil took my sandwich and stuff. And the devil said, well, guess what? All I did was call, you followed. What does that mean?
You didn't have
You think you want to shift the blame when you're not. So don't even start making excuses. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. I don't care what kind of confusion or mistakes or misjudgment or I see how people are on the market and they didn't understand that they had shades and that, but they're Gucci sneaks they let my step on them. But they don't understand stuff. They're full of crap. Why do you think it is said that ignorance of the law is no excuse? Because the law begins with you. And if you can talk about gods you do not see, and can't talk about the law that's before you, thus you can't claim to love a God you do not see, and love not your brothers and sisters whom you see every day. Likewise, don't start talking about the laws of the university because the lizard people and the reptilians and stuff, and the shapeshifters, really them dudes are really Anunnaki and stuff, the ones got the real peanut butter sandwich with the shades on and stuff, they eat brains and stuff. Talk about all this stuff and don't even read the Constitution, the supreme law land. Come off it. That's what, basically, that's what it's saying.
You don't read it now.
So stop making excuses and get with it. The real deal is we're in denial. And nature doesn't accept denial. Club members do. It's called nepotism. My cousin said he didn't know nothing about this. Well, in the congressional record, the secret treaty of Rome shows the clergy oath. No, I ain't into that. You got 501c3? Well, yeah, but see, that's what Jesus means. No, it ain't. You already know that's Lyndon Baines Johnson after they killed Kennedy, controlled marching Negro leader guys. No, it isn't. Did you sign it? Yeah. Tell me that you signed something you didn't know. Stop it. These people are full of it. Stop letting them. You're sacrificing the babies by keep lying for these people that you keep making excuses for.
I'm not making excuses for
No, I'm not saying you. I'm talking about us in general.
In general, yeah.
But this is what we must understand. Nature does not recognize person or station. And divine law operates not unlike the push and pull of gravity.
That's right.
It does not recognize personal station. As soon as we start mixing our belief systems with divine law and fakely calling it divine, which it isn't, which is really what blinds people. They think they can make up stuff and call belief and then talk about it's right because they want to believe it. When it's really systems of mind control and denial that you keep blaming on Prophet Muhammad and Jesus. Lying on the prophets and getting away with it, which is what they call sectalism. Well, Prophet Muhammad said there'll be no sectalism in Islam. Islam is one. And Prophet Muhammad came to complete the cycle of Yahshua. Matter of fact, they were distant cousins. And people keep talking about they different religions. The same principles by different prophets at different times. And the people, the lying scholars got them divided against each other in the minds of the people when they taught the same Kabbalistic principles. And what happened with both of them got ran out, and then people's, whether it's with Prophet Muhammad Hadith, then all the scholars start telling you what he meant, when he told you what he meant. And everybody wants, Reverend going to tell you what Jesus meant. He told you what he meant. Stop. They're full of crap. They are. And they're the ones that deliver the prophets to Rome and then pretend that there's separation of church and state. Well, according to their secret oath, I don't think so. They've been conferring with the Pope. Ain't the Pope Rome?
That's right.
Oh, yes. Any questions, y'all?
So the Pope is the head of lower self.
He is God of the earth.
God of the earth, that's right.
Government ordinance departments. In God they trust. The people think it means the supreme being. It's government ordinance departments. Unum sanctum policy. They own the bodies, the land, the waters, the air jurisdiction, sea jurisdiction, land jurisdiction, under hypothecation, exercised by P2 Masons and other familiars working for the popes of Rome, pretending to love Muhammad and Jesus. And that's the truth, and all scholars know it. Now, what I'm appealing to you, stop complaining and pretending that you don't understand this, because you ain't got long to keep on playing anyway, because Rome's going to take all your stuff anyway. And then lose all your JOBs. It's called Job.
Job.
Make that long, make that O a short O. It's called job. You ain't going to have no jobs, and they're going to steal all your accounts. Then see how long you keep on worshiping Rome.
That's going on
And you're going to start putting them plastic cards in, and the machine starts going to go burp. And we'll see how long it's going to take for these people to understand this information.
They're changing all the bank laws now.
No, they've already been changed. What you mean is that they're coming out in the open with what was already done years ago. How about that?
There you go.
It's called wake up. You know, like somebody finally wake up.
God, where the peanut butter sandwiches? The rappers are all going, must be some mice around here and stuff.
And the clerk is over there doing like this. And eat your peanut butter sandwich. Talking about, you say, did you see a peanut butter sandwich around here? No. You got any juice so I can wash the sandwich? They coming for that too. These people are out to lunch. See, what we got to recognize is that we're out to lunch, we've been in denial, and we've perfected that denial for so many generations that it's hard for us to see. Not that we can't see. But when we start looking, it's quite ugly. And it's also quite troubling and discomforting because we see that we're in quite a liability place, getting ready to throw it on the curb in our own stuff. And we called ourselves being good, upstanding people, whatever, doing what we're supposed to be, paying their taxes that we've been calling our taxes, and now they come to take all your stuff. It ain't fair. Well, fair never had anything to do with it. It's called colonial operations. At what point you forgot they're colonists? A colonist is to politics and social order as a leech is to biology. Swim in dirty water, you're probably going to come out on the other side with things that are not freckles.
Right.
These are freckles. I didn't have them when I got in here because they ain't freckles. They're called leeches. For real?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's right.
So these people are parasites. And they've been sucking you. You're just noticing it now because your blood is running low. I thought that was a passing mark. No. We're turtlenecks tomorrow. This is what's happening to us. And we're just in denial, that's all. And it's just that people's discomfort right now is being forced to face reality. Because everything that they have held as secure is clearly being threatened now. Now it's no longer vague.
Right.
Clearly being threatened. They're scared, and none of their so-called religions are working for them. Nor are the aspirins. Give them the mic.
So, if our people came back into the fold of constitutional law,
It kills the bonds. See, this is the deal. Let's come real quick and I'll answer your question. What really happens here is that you cannot beat the beast.
Okay.
The beast is too powerful.
Right.
He must be starved. You must stop feeding the beast. You must stop be believing in the beast because he lives off the abstract and the substance. Therefore, your honor to the beast must be removed. You must rebuke him. You must stop serving him. You can't serve two masters. We've been serving him and then complaining because he's in power. So the symbolism of his destruction is in the book of Deuteronomy. I think it's Deuteronomy or Daniel, one of them, where the legs of iron, feet of clay thing. You understand?
Yes.
The feet of clay, which means the whole foundation is a fraud. You're all concerned with the strength that you see. You know, this brass chest and all this iron hands and this big monster thing, the Goliath image. When a child recognizes if the foundation is weak, all they got to do is go throw the ball with a little toy and crack the foot. And the weight of the corruption will bring it down. So the people are looking at, what can we do to make him act right? Like nothing, because he's not going to act right.
Okay.
What you must do is stop feeding him. It's like feeding a yard dog. He keeps biting you, but you keep bringing him lunch.
Yeah.
Well, if you start bringing him lunch after a while, last week he was and really take all your sandwiches. Oh, for love you give him the sandwich, right? So you could be tired and stop giving them sandwiches, or either pea in the peanut butter and it don't taste as good. And he start, next week he start going, wah, wah. And next week he go, wah, wah. Next week he go, over in the corner somewhere, and then go over and go and walk through the junkyard because he ain't gonna do crap. Meaning that he has no power except what you keep giving him.
There you go.
We keep looking for him to operate on a moral or ethical principle while we feed him.
He got you in the chokehold. He ain't gonna be moral ethical.
We're out to lunch.
Right.
We're out to lunch.
True. So true. So true.
So, since we won't do what we're supposed to do, it's just very clear. And since the Asiatic leadership here has been so supremely compromised, the Manchurian families, we still call the White Dragon Society, put out 6.5 million perfected assassins to counter European operations. Russia, China, India, and other Asiatic nations have merged their operations to stop feeding the beast. The only problem that they have is that the Moors, under the title of black, keep on going to and fro the earth, fighting his wars against their own people to keep him in power, and then come back and start some other nigger organization and complain because the black troops of Troop 54 didn't get black badges. It's true. And like Hitler said, what did Hitler say to Churchill? You take them stovepipes out of the war, and we'll kick your asses.